What's up, fellow fishermen and fellow fisherwomen? Today I'm going to explain just kind of how I go about doing my inshore fishing. So basically, I've been inshore fishing for a very long time. And I also work at Bass Pro Shop, so I've got quite a bit of knowledge, and I get knowledge from several other people, several other peers, and whatnot on different tips, areas, ways to fish this, certain things to use in this condition and whatnot. So I'm going to kind of break it down for you guys. Excuse me. Alright, so first thing, let me talk about some tackle. So I've got here a 7-foot medium action rod. I use a 6 to 12 pound. A lot of people think that's too light for inshore fishing, and I personally don't believe so. I use usually a 2500 size reel, 3000, depending on brand. Typically pins run fairly big for a 2500, and same with Daiwa and so on. But Shimano, actually, they're very shallow spools. On a 2500, you barely get any line capacity. It's still doable, but just a little uncomfortable in case you get that big fish that's lurking around. I've seen some big snook out there that you might run into some issues with using a Shimano 2500. But anyway, this is a G Loomis E6X, 7-foot 6 to 12. I've got on 10 pound Spiderwire Stealth Smooth. If you guys haven't heard of it or seen it, it's in a green box. It's a newer line by them. Awesome braid. I also picked up, let me get this real quick. Got some of this stuff here. This is the Berkley X9. I've got it in 10 pound as well, but it's a 9 carrier braid, where this is a 8 carrier, I believe. This is a 9 carrier braid, and the carriers basically mean, usually mean it's 9 fibers put together, woven together, whether it be Kevlar or whatever material they use. And with that, you are going to be getting a very smooth line. It's actually a thinner diameter, and the strength is unreal. I've actually tested this at work, and this 10 pound broke at about 16, 17 pounds of pressure, which is pretty good. It could probably go more, but it's good stuff. But anyway, other than that, that's the line. So when you go with the line for my leader, this is used. I haven't switched it out yet. I'm just been lazy, to be honest. But I typically use 20 to 30 pound leader, depending on the condition and where I'm at, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But this right here that I have on is Seaguar Blue Label 25 pound fluoro. I would highly recommend using fluoro just due to it sinks a little quicker, and that sheen, that kind of glossy sheen, just kind of disappears underwater. So it's definitely useful, especially in skinny water and very clean conditions. It would definitely up your ratio a little bit. As for the reel, this is a Pin Conflict 2 2500. Honestly, it's an awesome reel. I got it for a fairly well price, and I've got tons and tons of different reels. But this guy, for the money and what I've put this thing through, and like I said, I've barely maintained and kept up with it at all. And it's just kind of like my beater reel, even though that sounds kind of weird. But like I said, I got it at a very, very good price. But if you're in the market for a reel, I would highly recommend this reel. I've got all the way up from, I got Shimano Stratix, I've got a Shimano Twin Power, but this reel, for the money, awesome reel. I'm very glad that Penn finally came up with something that will kind of compete with the stuff that's out in the market now, with how lightweight it is. It's fairly smooth. It's definitely a little geary, like how pretty much all pins are. but it's an awesome reel. Definitely will get the job done. Now I'll show you some basically the baits you want to throw, especially this time of year, like your spring, summer kind of months. This time of year you'll get all your bait runs. So you'll get your glass minnow run, you're gonna get your mullet run, pilchards will be all over the place. So you want to mimic something that's fairly similar to it. And what I see works best for me are baits like the DOA cow shads. Awesome bait. I mean, I have caught everything from juvenile tarpon, snapper, snook, trout, redfish, flounder, like anything you can imagine that's inshore game species, and trash fish, of course, as well. But here's two colors. I've got, this is the Arkansas Glow, probably hands down my favorite all around. And also the all white is very good too in all conditions. Usually when it's a little murky, I tend to throw this guy. I believe this is the silver mullet, or I forgot the other name of it, but they have one that's very similar to this that's got all the glitter on both sides, where this one's kind of half and half with like a dark forest green with the metallic flake on the bottom. But awesome baits. And you want to rig these, I don't have one rigged up right now, but you want to rig it with an 1/8 ounce. I like using the DOA jig heads. I usually use about an 1/8 ounce, even a 1/16 ounce for your skinny water fishing, which is mainly what I do. A lot of sight fishing and whatnot. But say you're going by, wading by like deeper docks, or you're in a heavy current or whatnot, this will definitely get you by. Just use like a 1/4 ounce and you'll be just fine. You kind of want like a slower retrieve, just kind of like a steady pace at somewhat of a slower retrieve, to where you're either on the bottom if it's like a sandy bottom, or just above if there's any sort of like grass or oysters or rocks or anything along those lines. But it just has awesome action. It'll just be like a side to side kind of action. Awesome baits. All right, I need a drink. All right, now as for different types of fishing, that I'll kind of explain like in a different video, but this will be kind of just like a one, or, you know what, forget it. We're just gonna do, I'll tell you different types of fishing. So say, I mean, for me, unfortunately, I'm just not fortunate enough to own a boat. So I just kind of make with ends meet, and I'll go wading, I'll go kayaking. If I've got buddies with boats, and I'll go on with them sometimes, but honestly, what I see kind of works best for me, and what's super stealthy, is either wading or kayaking. So I'll start with wading first. Over here, I'm over in the Treasure Coast area of Florida. So I fish anywhere usually between Vero to Stewart area. We've got the Indian River Lagoon, we've got the St. Lucie River, and not far up north from us we got Mosquito Lagoon and the Banana River and all that jazz as well. But typically I'll fish in the Indian River Lagoon. Typically it'll be from about Jensen Beach to Vero is typically where I stay. As some of you guys, or most of y'all, have probably seen, the dumping from Lake Okeechobee has definitely took a toll on the estuary over here. So what I've seen from like about Stewart area, like I'd say Jensen Beach Causeway down towards Sandspit or the St. Lucie Inlet, is pretty much just decimated. Even all the way up to the South Bridge and Fort Pierce, there's just no more grass really. Hardly. It's very rare to find grass. There's just nowhere for these fish to hide, and I've just seen just the levels and activity of the fish have just kind of gone down quite a bit. The east side still produce. Both sides still produce because of either the docks or the mangroves or what have you. But in my opinion, wading, I would stay probably from towards like the power plant over in Jensen, all the way up to, like I said, Vero Beach. That's where I found what's very healthy, because one of the main feeder canals off of Lake Okeechobee, or the lock, is right out of Stewart. So they're getting hammered when they start dumping all that stuff, you know. So what I would do is, just like I said, you're just gonna want to stay in that zone that I told you. In that zone on the west side, along like Indian River Drive and so on, you've got tons and miles upon miles of docks. And these docks, I'm telling you, look, they just hold massive fish, in all different varieties. I've caught anything from grouper to snook, trout, redfish, flounder, hooked tarpon, all sorts of just different species of fish over there. And that's where I get most of, at least I get more hits on that side than I do on the east side of the river. On the east side, I mean, it's pretty good, don't get me wrong. I'd rather prefer, I don't really like wading that side. I'd rather prefer going out there on a kayak or a boat or some sort of vessel, you know. That's where I just see I do better just kind of skipping underneath the mangroves and whatnot. I'd always tear up snook and stuff over there. But like I said, if you're in a wading kind of condition, that west side's your best friend, in my opinion. Just all those docks hold so many monstrous fish. I can't even tell you how many monster snook and redfish I've hooked over there. But as for like baits in that area and stuff, I would say, like I said, like the DOA cows, or like a shrimp imitation, like either a DOA shrimp, or one of my favorites, the Monster 3X shrimps, are just awesome and bulletproof as well. They work very well like in your cooler months. Is typically where I get most action on a shrimp imitation. And like I said, when it starts heating up and stuff, those fish kind of tend to move all over the place. You want to throw some sort of bait fish imitation. Sorry. And like a minnow or what have you, you know what I mean? Early in the morning, definitely throw top water if the conditions are suitable. Top water is a must. Usually my rule for it, and kind of the rule that I was taught, is the first 30 and last 30 of every day you want to be throwing that top water. There's tons of top waters. You got like Super Spooks, Skitter Walks, and what have you. Whatever works for you. I personally use a Skitter Walk most of the time, and I've had good success with it. You could work that along docks, or shadow lines at the docks, or wide open in the flat along mangroves, wherever. But that first 30, you'll get some awesome eats and potentially some big fish. Now, let me jump in towards like the east side. On the east side, it's usually all mangroves. You'll have some developments there where you could get some docks to fish and whatnot. But in my opinion, your best bet over there is just skipping under mangroves and sight fishing. The sight fishing over there on that side is unreal. You'll see this time of year, you'll see either schools of snooks, or you'll see that monster snook or trout kind of cruising on the flat. And with one of these bait imitations like a DOA cow, I mean, you just lead him a little bit, see which way he's heading, you know. You want to lead him by like probably about 20 feet, depending on how fast what the pace is of this fish going by. But with that, you could just be very effective on going after these fish over there. Now, let's see. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Okay, so we'll get into the kayaking aspect. No, I don't have the most fanciest kayak out there. I just get what works. It's stable for me. All I use it for is to get where I'm going, to stand up and catch fish. That's literally all I need it for. But you could get like a Hobie if you wanted to and spend the buku bucks for it, or you could just get whatever off Craigslist or something cheap. Something, as long as you could get to where you're going, you have that shot at getting that fish. And what I've noticed, what's cool with the kayaks, at least, you could get to these areas that people can't either get to, or you could reach into areas that are either untouched, have very, very low, it's very low pressured. So there's big advantages to a kayak. Downfalls though, you'll get, if there's the slightest bit of wind, you'll have boats coming by that don't pay attention to you. You get all these crazy swells coming in, and it gets sketchy, especially when you're carrying expensive equipment around or whatnot. But usually, typically, you don't really have to worry about much of that, except like the wind kind of part, and having and the other downside too is just you can't obviously travel super far very quick, or like you would in a boat. But what I think is kind of that. But to me, going on a kayak, it's unlike any other. It's just like waiting, basically, and that's what I'll do sometimes. Sometimes I'll paddle to a spot and I'll just wait it out. If there's a lot of fish sitting on this flat or this hole or this cove, if I can find somewhere to stand up and wait it, I'll get out and just wait it, you know. But the places and stuff that you could go to is just unreal, and there are so many fish. People sometimes get mistaken. I mean, you'll see, I can't even tell you how many times I've seen redfish or snook in less than a foot of water. I mean, almost with either their backs are out of the water or almost out of the water. And I mean, these are big fish too. I mean, you'll get them, obviously you'll get some of the smaller juvenile ones, or you'll get that 34-inch snook sitting in 8 inches of water, 10 inches of water, you know what I mean? I mean, they will get in that skinny water, believe me. And most of my fish are honestly caught, especially skipping in those mangroves. I mean, it can't be any more than this deep, you know what I mean? So that's where I would target more. I mean, yeah, they'll be in deeper water certain times of the year and whatnot, but I mainly focus and base my fishing off of sight fishing and fishing skinny water. That's just kind of where I've seen where I catch the most amount of fish, I guess, or I get the most action at least. Alright guys, that was just kind of like a simple little video. I just hope I touched base on some of the either like questions or thoughts you were having about some sort of like inshore fishing and kind of what you need to use or what I personally use, and hopefully it'll help you out at least figuring out what kind of works best for you, or say, hey, I mean, I didn't know you could do that in that kind of condition. I didn't know they were over there. But yeah, I just hope those were some like little helpful hints. I mean, I don't like making this huge speech, and I'm trying to keep it as short as possible, you know, just something short, simple, that'll probably get you, like, bump your ratio up fairly quickly, you know. I know I haven't been making videos in a very long time. I fish with a ton of popular people and people that know their stuff, people that don't know their stuff, and whatnot. But I want to kind of I'm gonna make this whole kind of channel to just show you like the real deal. No BS, no fancy this. If it's a bad day, it's a bad day. I'm still gonna record it. I'm still gonna film it, show you guys what it's like on a bad day, a good day. No fake persona, no nothing. This is just real nitty gritty, die-hard, passionate fishing, and that's what I want to bring to you guys. Thank you guys for tuning into it. There will be some videos to come. I've got some trips planned to go to Mosquito Lagoon, to go down south towards the Everglades, West Coast, maybe other states. There's a lot of stuff kind of brewing, but I just want to make a different type of fishing YouTube page. I'm going to show you guys just kind of what my life is like, the type of fishing I do, from fly fishing to inshore, maybe doing some offshore, maybe doing some freshwater, some northern fishing, whatever, what have you. You know, I'm down to learn everything. I'll show you different lures that kind of come out, what's hitting the market that's like super crazy, or something super low key that's whacking every other fish out there. Working at Bass Pro, I see quite a bit, I hear quite a bit, and I would love to share that with y'all that watch my videos. So as for that, I'm going to be signing off. I've got a trip coming up in about another day or so with my buddy Nick. We're going to go, we scouted out the other day, got a ton of redfish, snook. We saw so many fish, and I cannot wait to go back out there this weekend, and I'm going to bring y'all along and show you what it's like. Thanks guys, appreciate it.